Hi, I'm Spencer,
And I'm Blake.
and you're about to get jumped.
Welcome to episode 265 of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, a weekly podcast where we watch the anime so you don't have to.
But you should still totally watch the anime.
This week on Get Jumped, we're watching Naruto Shippuden, episodes 324 through 328, and the first three episodes of Hell's Paradise, where past enemies are turned into zombies and current criminals are turned into flowers.
You just gotta turn your friends into one of 6 different options. There's earth, wind, water, fire, then the other 2 elements, flowers or zombies. Those are the 6 elements. But when the 6th element, zombies, decided to invade the Flower Kingdom, that's when everything went bad. Anyways, let's jump in.
I thought for a second you were making a Captain Planet reference, and then it turned out to be an Avatar: The Last Airbender reference, but you had me
Well,
fooled there at the
it's
beginning.
always a hard choice. It's always that throw up between either you're gonna do Captain Planet or you're gonna do Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I landed Avatar: The Last Airbender this time, and it's because I'm just such a fan of very slow moving rocks and also pronouncing his name Ong, so
I don't
that's
know.
that's what I
I don't know what you're referring to, and I won't know it.
I like that there's legitimately I've known multiple people now that have tried as hard as they can to just wipe that from their memory. And I'm just like, no, it happened. M. Night Shyamalan all over that shit.
Yeah, which is I don't know. It's weird for it to have been mishandled so significantly. I mean, it's not like adapting a 20 episode television season into a 2 hour movie is a surefire success because there's a
Yeah.
lot of ground covered in that 20 episodes and it doesn't all happen in the same spot. So it's like, I don't know. I think about like Lord of the Rings, right? If you
Yeah.
think about the Lord of the Rings movie for Fellowship, there are several stages that they have to get through, and they kind of become the big story beats of the thing. And
Mhm.
you could break Avatar down into those, but it's so much more disparate because it's an episode of the week type of thing, especially in season one. There's lots of world building that's happening, and there's lots of story creation that's happening, and it totally builds on itself. But there's also a lot of little like way off, day off things. Like you could make an argument that you don't even have to go to Kyoshi Island in the season one adaptation if you're trying to make like a tight 2 hour film and you're saving, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes for the finale at the end. You could probably get 20, 30 minutes for the setup at the beginning. So you don't have a lot of time to dispense with stuff. Maybe you can cut the setup down to 15. I guess it's done in 20 minutes in the show. So you probably get it down to 10 or 15. But like, it's just, it's a hard prospect to adapt something like that that's so grand and so wide ranging into a single movie, but it just wasn't done well. And the worst part of it was the changing of the names, which,
Yeah.
as you referenced, I think they called him Soka instead of Sokka, although that one doesn't stand out clear in my mind. But they very clearly changed Aang's name to be pronounced as Ong instead, and I don't remember. I suspect there's an answer out there, but I don't remember if it was because he was not familiar with the source material and saw the AA and figured that was an ah sound instead of an a the ang sound that it is. Uh, Maybe that was that, but the greater sin for me was pronouncing the word avatar as avatar, which is not correct at all and is also not a word that they made up for the show. So how do you get that one wrong? Like that was just crazy to me that they did that. And I don't know, maybe they were trying to make it like a special extra thing for this world, but like it's just an English word. It has a specific single pronunciation and you're not pronouncing it right. and you're really just like
Yeah.
doubling down on it, and I don't get it.
Yeah. I that's a fever dream. Anyways, speaking of fever dreams, we need to go ahead and get into our shows that we watched. This one is called Hell's Paradise. Blake, can you give us a brief recommendation of what this show is about?
Yeah, so this is a web manga series that was released between January of 18 and January of 2021. Consists of 127 chapters, 13 collected volumes. It was adapted into a 13 episode anime series by Studio Mappa, and that ran from April to July of, I was going to say last year, but of 2023, 2 years ago now. Wait, it's 2026, right?
Yeah. Where are
Yeah,
we? What year is it?
3 years ago now. So a second season premiered this year, January 2026.
Mm-hmm.
It became the most popular series on Shonen Jump Plus, which I believe is a digital only wing of Shonen Jump. This happened by August of 18, so within its first year of publication. It's gotten lots of praise from critics, and the storyline is centered on a ninja named Gabimaru and an executioner named Yamada, who go on a search for an elixir of immortality. Yabimaru or Gabimaru is sentenced to death for his crimes, so he is part of a sort of suicide squad mission to this like fucked up island that might be the afterlife, where maybe the elixir of immortality can be found, and all of the prisoners are sent with a handler essentially that's there to watch them and kill them if they get out of line. So
Mm-hmm.
they go to this island, and it's messed up. And
Yeah.
I would say, as we're getting into it, that the author noted that he created the series with the mindset of making a setting that includes multiple pairs of people whose interests are not aligned, but who are forced to work together by being locked in, the proverbial room together, or in this case, an island slash other dimension. I don't know. They get there by boat, but it's probably not in our world. Anyway, what was your reaction to this?
I was basically hooked from the first episode.
Okay.
So I immediately jumped in, saw that there were swords. I was like, cool. Then I saw that it was like a weird sort of like power system, and I was like, cool. Then I saw that the animation was beautiful, and I was like, okay. Then I saw that all of the voice acting was very good, and I was like, okay. And then I saw the fantasy twist, and I was like, you fucking got me. I'm in. So like this really checks a lot of boxes for me, especially when he uses his ninjutsu for the first time, and I was just like, yep, 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 yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it really hooked me. I am in for the long haul with this show. I watched. I was supposed to watch 2 episodes or 3. I watched 5, and I have not regretted any moment of it so far. So my suggestion is watch the show if you like fantasy anime. If you don't, you might also really like it. There is also a very strong push from the first episode for this character that you were supposed to start to hate and then start to understand him. And those characters always get me too.
Okay.
And I like that slow burn of understanding why this person is the way that they are.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Yeah. I also really liked this. Um, I was kind of in and out early on because I was trying to get it accomplished while I was trying to accomplish some other things. Did not have as much time to go through this as I would like to have. But so there are a few aspects like I could not tell you why he's a criminal. uh, and I suspect they explained it very clearly and I just missed it. But I found this to be pretty intriguing and relatively endearing. I was really excited to see that there was a call out in the sort of brief description of the series that I pulled from Wikipedia of the author, specifically noting the sort of contrasted pairs, because that was one of the things that really stood out to me as a good hook for this show, is that sort of push and pull between these two characters. And I think the two main characters that get paired together that we're following are they have a really interesting dynamic, and within the first three episodes, there's a major conflict that happens that becomes, I would say, sort of the climax of this intro to the story that I found to be really, really intriguing and really illustrative of kind of who our main character Gabimaru is and who it's a good illustration of who he thinks he is and who he actually is, and sort of sets you up for what I suspect will be his character arc over the story. Um, I will say that it's really, really, really violent, with
Oh yeah.
lots of on-screen decapitations and impalings. And something that I've realized about myself recently that may be a recent change or may just be something I didn't consciously click with until recently. So if something's too violent, I kind of check out of it. Like I've realized that I probably am
Unless
not.
it's kaijus killing other kaijus, and then you're in.
Yeah, it's probably violence against humans that messes me up. Obviously, like fantasy violence like Dragon Ball Z is cool. I love Lord of the Rings, but most of that is against sort of like the faceless mook horde, which you could also say for something like Avengers Endgame. Um, you know, I mean, violence encompasses a long list of things, but I think I think extreme violence, specifically, sort of like um, showing serious injury or violent death, has started to really grate on me in a way where I'm like, maybe I just skip that. Like, I've decided that I'm probably not going to be interested in a lot of zombie stuff because I really, as I've said many times on the show, I really don't like people getting eaten. But I've realized that I think some of that is just the sort of like grotesqueness of that for me. And that extends to a lot of other violence. And like, I really noticed this recently when my husband was watching The Witcher, and it's super violent and really dark. And I have had that show on my radar for a long time, but haven't gotten around to it. And like with him watching it and me sort of like catching bits and pieces of it over his shoulder, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch this. I'm not interested anymore. It's too violent for me, in a specific sort of dark way. And this almost tiptoed up to that line, but I was so into the premise and also the presentation, as far as like the beautiful animation is really good. I think for me personally, I don't need to see that many people get stabbed through the chest and hear the blood sort of like splashing around. But like, that's kind of my only qualm with this. Otherwise, I felt like it was a really interesting story told well and with a good pace and, high production quality. And not only did I enjoy these first three episodes, but the very end of the third episode sort of teases some of the weird shit in this island alternate universe thing that they're in. There's like a giant that raises up with like baby arms coming out of its eye sockets. And I was just like grinning like an idiot with how creative and creepy these designs were. And it made me want to watch more. So yeah, I
Yeah.
strongly recommend this unless you have a serious aversion to like major violence shown on screen. But I have an aversion to that, and I enjoyed it in spite of that. And yeah, I would agree with Spencer. If you're looking for a fantasy anime, this scratches that itch. But I don't think it's. I also think it's not such a fantasy anime in the way that like a lot of isekai are, where it's like, if you're not into fantasy, you're not gonna like this one way or the other. It's just a good anime if you like a sort of actiony but dark, spooky anime. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. With all that being said, let's get into our episodes of the week. We watched Naruto Shippuden, and with 1 minute on the clock, Blake, are you ready to explain what has happened previously on this show?
Yeah, thankfully this was a pretty focused batch of episodes, so I think I can get through it.
All right. And go.
All right, our main character is Naruto. He's a ninja in training. He is also what's called a Jinchuriki, which is one of a small group of people that have giant, multiple tailed demon creatures sealed within them. Naruto's is the nine tailed fox. And there are a bunch of other Jinchuriki who have been captured and killed by the main villains, the Akatsuki, led by a man that we are currently calling Toby. He's capturing and killing them to take the beasts out of them to use in his plan Tsukinome, which we don't really know the details of, but he has revived the seven captured and killed Jinchuriki and put the demons back into them so that they can fight with the two remaining alive Jinchuriki, Naruto and his mentor Killer Bee, and they are on a collision course with each other that came to almost blows at the end of our coverage last time and will be blows this time.
And time. Okay,
Awesome.
well, I guess you got done a little bit earlier this week.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go into all the details of everybody participating in the war from all the different factions like I did last time, so it was a little bit easier.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to start off with episode 324, The Unbreakable Mask and the Shattered Bubble. This episode is going to be mostly about getting us into the fight between Killer Bee, Naruto, and the Jinchuriki fighting alongside of what we're going to find out at the very beginning of this episode. His real name is Toby. He reveals at one point, Naruto's like, the two Madara we're going to have to deal with. And he's like, two of them. And then he's just like, that motherfucker reanimated the other Madara, like, fuck.
Yeah, Toby has been saying he's Madara, and that the DNA tests confirmed that was a lie. So
yeah,
he's
gonna have a really interesting case on Mari.
Yeah, we know that Madara is someone else because he just got reanimated, and there ain't two of them. So Naruto has this whole thing with him that's gonna end up being a weirdly effective plot device in a later episode that we watched today, where Toby is just like, all right, fuck it, I'm not Madara. My real name is also not Toby necessarily, but I don't give a shit. Like, my name doesn't matter. I don't care what my name is. All I care about is my plan. And
he only exists for his movement now. You know, he's just there for his dance.
I'm just here for the dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't want to fuck around tonight. He's just got to dance.
Yeah. His muffin top is all
so this episode
whole grain, low fat.
This episode is really all about a character from a piece of filler that is a real character inside of the manga, but we don't get this much backstory. He is one of the Jinchuriki who has this love story where he was running away with a ward of his that had the this like forbidden jutsu that makes her like explode and use a shit ton of power and become like basically a I don't know, like a nuclear bomb in this world. And he is able to defuse her by calming her down and focusing her. He was going to go back and become a part of the village again and see if they could escape from having to run forever by meeting up with these Anbu Black Ops. But the problem with that is the Pains got there to the Black Ops before he was able to get to them. And he wasn't able to escape. Instead, we get to watch this sweet fight sequence where he just gets completely fucking destroyed by the Pains. And it's also this, like, his Fox Cloak fight is pretty dope, especially when, like, they think they have him captured, and then he's going to show off that, like, his Fox Cloak can change into, like, the outside of his body turning into like super powerful acid and burning everything that's on top of it, and then he's able to like move out of it because he's the one that has like the big giant slug that's inside of him, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he's got the slug, and he has a whole arc, one of the filler arcs, maybe the first filler arc in Shippuden, although I don't remember exactly. It focuses on him, and he is a character that Naruto meets and pals around with, and they bond over being Jinchuriki or whatever the hell. And I remember watching it. This was back when in college when I was watching I don't know if I was watching it as it came out or if I had just like downloaded a bunch of it and was like going through it. And it was that thing when I was still early enough in my anime watching that I didn't immediately pick up on something being filler. So I'm like 10 or 15 episodes deep into this filler arc and being like, man, why does this just feel so boring and repetitive? And I like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I figured it out. I remember there's the like main villain in the filler arc has like her Keke Genkai lets her fight using like red crystals that she generates, and that was kind of cool. I think Naruto's filler characters are generally relatively interesting as far as their powers go, but they're, you know, they're stuck in a filler arc, so they are ultimately not that
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, I don't know
I
how much of the slug capture totally happens on panel in the manga, but in the
yeah.
show it's sort of an extension or maybe a callback to the filler arc that does definitely not happen. I don't think Naruto meets this guy Utakata in the manga, so I suspect that a lot of this episode is semi filler of him being like, "Hey, it's you again." I'm like, I don't think they actually meet each other in the real thing.
Yeah.
I also don't know how much of this flashback of him getting captured is shown because we don't see it for the other characters, and we do see
No.
it for him, but the other characters didn't have filler arcs, so I bet that's made up too.
Yeah, they have a little bit of other filler moments too inside of these episodes. The most unfortunate part about these episodes is that the the amount of time stretching that they are going to do to give you the information that happens pretty quickly inside of the manga is very, very prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to go into episode 325, Jinchuriki versus Jinchuriki, and it's really just they start to fight harder. They start to become more powerful
They get their tails out.
because Toby is going to became he's going to like give them the ability to use their cloaks of their Jinchuriki, and then they are going to start to become more powerful. But as they become more powerful, they start to break away from his control, just because the tailed beasts are so powerful that like they can start to impose their will as they become in like their full physical versions of themselves. And we're gonna
Yeah.
first see that with I think it's the three tail,
The five
which
tail is the
is
horse.
which one? The five tail.
Yeah, which does not
So
look like a
the
horse.
yeah, the horse horned one, it starts to go a little bit wild and stop listening to Toby, and he's going to have to like bring it back down to its cloaked form, just so that it will not have too much power to break away. The problem with that is that Killer Bee has gone into his full on eight tails, and Naruto is proving to be too difficult and too fast to deal with without putting them into a large form again. And they are going to continue to become more powerful until they get new people that show up that are going to fight along with them, which is going to be Kakashi and Mike Guy are going to show up to be backup right as Naruto is about to go down and be taken by Toby.
Yeah, this is
There's specifically,
the "I am
he's
your
like,
opponent now"
I'm going to
cliche.
tag you so that you're it moment.
I love this. This is such a cliche in shonen anime, and it's not always done well. But even if it's done okay, I'm fucking in. I love this cliche. It's so good. Like
Hmm.
every once in a while, it feels like a bit of an ass pull from the writer. But usually it's so cool to just be like, yeah, this moment of tension and desperation, it's really exciting. And then it's uh, the you know the the moment is saved by the arrival of someone, and it's like I think it's fulfilling in a way that a lot of other ass pulls. We talked a lot in our recent Bleach coverage about the writers finding an excuse for the villain to not just outright kill the hero after a curb stomp battle when you're like showing off how badass the villain is, but you're not ready for the final fight yet. Um, and this is almost like the one of the fixes for that is like if you are ready for a cool fight, having an "I am your opponent now" reveal is really exciting because instead of the viewers focusing on the somewhat like Deus Ex Machina type of ass pull solution to the tension that they were building up, instead of that whiplash, you get the excitement of like, oh, this character is here now. I bet this is going to be really cool in a different way. And
Yeah.
I think they cashed that check pretty successfully here.
I'm going to give you the next 3 episodes, by the way, by name, because there's one episode that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
So,
matter.
episode 326, Four Tails, the King of Sage Monkeys. Episode 327, Nine Tails. It is a flashback episode. It is nigh unwatchable. And then episode 328, Karama. These episodes are going to be specifically about a fight that is going to be happening, the same fight that's going to be happening. Might Guy and Kakashi are really there to just kind of tread water during this fight. They're going to be kind of keeping everybody at bay while you can have the main fight that's going to be happening between one of the Jinchuriki, which is the I can't remember his name.
Four Tails.
His a
and his
yeah, but
he's
his name, the guy who uses his fire technique, that like lava technique thing.
isn't that that's the monkey guy, right?
Yeah. He
So
turns
his
into the monkey
name-
guy, but
oh man, I thought. Oh yeah, it's his name is Roshi.
Roshi. Yeah. So we're gonna have a quick flashback
Wait,
with him.
hold on. Okay, we're about to find out that the Four Tails is a monkey. The Four Tails is Son Goku, because Son Goku, the monkey.
Don't you Dragon Ball Z this?
It's part of a. Shut up! It's part of a. It's part of the. The very famous legend that was what inspired Akira Toriyama to create Dragon Ball, and to have his main character be a kid named Goku with a monkey tail who turned into a monkey. That is a direct reference to this, and so the fact that this giant monkey is named Son Goku is less of a reference to Dragon Ball. It's probably not at all a reference to Dragon Ball, as much as it is a reference to a popular Eastern myth that is referenced routinely throughout lots of Japanese media. That said, the fact that his Jinchuriki is named Roshi has got to be a Dragon Ball reference. I can't imagine what else it would be. Like I think maybe is Roshi
his
a
last
character
name
from
is
that?
his last name is Roshi. Obviously, his first name is it starts with an M and ends with an Aster. I'm sure because he's Master Roshi.
I'm just so I know a lot of like early Dragon Ball characters are pulled from this story, but like Bulma's not. So like she's one of the earliest. I'm not sure if he came from the same. What is it called? Journey to the East or something? I don't think Roshi is from that East.
Anyways, we're gonna have also brief moments that show Sasuke getting away. Him having his crazy powerful eyes.
Journey to the West.
We're gonna have a quick moment that references what Sakura's up to. Why? I don't know. And then we're gonna get back to this fight between Naruto, Killer Bee, Toby, and Son Goku. Son Goku is going to swallow Naruto. Naruto is inside of his body is going to find out that he can have like a spiritual connection inside of the spirit realm with the giant monkey that is going to name himself as Son Goku. He's also going to give a name, which is very important, to the Nine Tails that's living inside of Naruto, which he hasn't learned yet, which is named Kurama. Mm-hmm. And he is going to say to him, like, it is bullshit that every single one of you Jinchuriki is all the same. They all say different things to get us to start to try to believe in them, and every time they put us down, you haven't even bothered to learn our names. And it's like this moment where he's like having this very real, like, we are chained animals inside of this world that are put through this hell, basically, of being trapped inside and never able to be ourselves and be what we are. And
Yeah,
because of that, we have this built up animosity to humanity
this
that
is a
is
sort of,
because, like,
did the nuclear bomb become a bomb because of a chicken or an egg situation? Because like the tailed beasts are a metaphor for weapons of mass destruction, and they but specifically the Ninetales has been shown to be a sort of wild force that appears and causes mass destruction periodically. Uh, and then there was a retcon a little while ago that we found out that Madara had like a summoning jutsu where he could call the Ninetales to a place and maybe at least partially control the Ninetales and sort of like use it as a directed weapon rather than basically a natural disaster. Uh, this is another retcon, and I have mixed feelings about it because I'm like, on the one hand, uh, the humans mistreating you and considering you like a dangerous creature when you are actually like a sentient being in your own right is real shit, and they should probably not approach it the way that they are. And this whole conversation about like I have a name, I'm not just like a thing, makes sense and totally works for me. On the other hand, they are giant monsters of destruction, and there's fucking 9 of them. So I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know exactly what like the compromise that he's like, let me run free and be who I am. I'm like, who you are destroys like entire villages in an afternoon. So I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, they are going to reveal that Son Goku just wants to be out of these chains that are binding him. Naruto is going to figure out a way, number one, to get vomited out of him by creating,
This
you
is,
know, a bunch of himself, that thing that Naruto does.
it's too ridiculous. I think it's supposed to be funny, but it was too much.
Yeah. So he gets thrown up, and then he is going to rip out the transponder chip that's inside of his neck, which is the same thing that Pain was using to control all of the other Pains and fight alongside each other at the same time. He only has one. It's in his neck, and he is going to end up pulling it out with the help of one of the shadow clones that he left inside of Son Goku. He is going to push it out, and they break it, and Kurama has this moment at the very end where you see him smiling and kind of seeming like he's going to befriend Naruto, because he
Yeah.
is starting to appreciate him and see him as an equal. And he's like, this kid, this brat finally grew up, sort of thing. And you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, they're gonna become best friends now. Okay,
Which is,
okay,
yeah, there's this aspect of me where I'm like, they've already kind of done the power up and they've reached an alliance. They have an agreement with each other. So the difference between what they have now of a sort of like working relationship and mutual respect versus like being friends, it's not nothing. Uh, and obviously, the power of friendship is very important in anime, and certainly Naruto is no exception to that. It's definitely a standard bearer of that as a theme. But like, there was that part of me that was like, I feel like this is a bridge we've already crossed, at least from sort of like a narrative utility standpoint. Of like,
yeah,
they've already come to terms with each other. I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing of like Kurama being resentful and cagey about Naruto felt a little bit like it was ignoring the extremely recent like moment where they came to terms with each other. But maybe I'm
yeah.
just not
Well,
remembering it
also
well.
Naruto showed recently too that he was just like, I have power over you, sort of thing, in a way that I never had it before.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just gonna have to stop being like a bad dog, and I'm just gonna chain you up, sort of thing. And now it's more like Kurama being just like, well, I respect you now and what you're doing,
I
and
care
because you're
now.
saving the other
You made me
Jinchuriki,
care.
a thing. You're saving one of the other tail beasts, and it's just like at no point has he cared at all about the other tail beasts. We have not seen a single moment of like brotherly love between the other tailed beasts and each other.
Hmm.
Like they had some sort of like they grew up together and they terrorized the towns when they were younger together.
Yeah.
They had fun times eating ice cream, which just happened to be icebergs, and that created a terrible shift inside of the Arctic of this world that flooded towns. They had a great time. It was just nine best friends that were slowly put inside of small baby bodies that turned into older baby bodies. Um, that's classic story. But anyways, none of that happened in the past. We don't
No.
really understand these characters. We also have been given like almost no information about the spirit world that like they just randomly yoink big giant monster creatures from. So
Uh,
like that probably is where they were living in harmony before
yeah,
they got
because
yoinked to this dimension.
we've gone through that a little bit with Gamabunta and the Mount Myoboku where all the toads live. But that, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, is explicitly stated to just be another place in the real world somewhere else. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't
So
know.
maybe
I'm
maybe maybe there is an island. I mean, there's a
maybe.
whole island in Hunter x Hunter that has like big giant monster beasts that nobody goes to.
Well, I'm
We'll
also
find
thinking
out
about
more about
like
that.
there's the whole like current Godzilla timeline of the movies and the Apple TV show where it's like there's a hollow Earth and there's all these underwater places and like there's tons of giant monsters, but they are routinely underground and inactive, even though they are still giant monsters that are around. And I could see Naruto making some sort of in-universe explanation that was kind of that same thing of like these demons wake up once every 10 years and then they got to do some smashing, but it's just here
Hmm.
and there, and maybe they could smash an uninhabited forest and that could be our
Well,
compromise. I don't really know.
smashing takes a lot of energy,
It does.
and like they got to take big naps afterwards.
You
They got
gotta
they
have
got
a
to
nap.
take big naps and big poops. That's what you got to do after your smashings.
I never
You
considered
take
the
your big
poops of a
naps.
giant-tailed beast demon.
It's called a tailed beast bomb for a reason. Anyways, stick with us after these credits, and we'll talk about what's coming on next week on Dragon Ball Z. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped. If you're interested in finding more episodes of our show, you can join us over at getjumped.buzzsprout.com. It has all of our links for our social media and for our Discord as well if you want to get involved and start chatting with us. Also, if you are interested in more content like Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, or you just want to read random musings on Blake's blog, you can go over to thegeeklygrind.com. You can get all of our episodes there as well as weekly content from Blake's blog. All right, see you next time.
Next time on Blake and Spencer Got Jumped, patrons can join us for our coverage of Bleach episodes 127 through 131. And then the next week, we'll be back with our regular coverage of Jujutsu Kaisen episodes 45 through 47.
Yeah, if you want to join us over at the Patreon, it's getting pretty good. Ichigo
It's
has
moving
gone
big
down to
time.
this place. It's called Huko Mugdo, and
Yes.
you can learn more about it when you join us in our Patreon. Anyways, see you later.